All right, and we are now live on YouTube. Hello, everybody. My name is Tyler Ellison, and I am so excited because today we are going to be doing a RYOK Live Q&A, and I am joined by two amazing people. My host, Yahaira Vargas, who has been working with me for over a year now. Yahaira, how's it going?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for having me here. And I missed it last month, right? And it hurt. And I'm glad I'm here again. So welcome, everybody.
And we are also joined by our amazing co-host for the day. This is Luis, who is a friend of mine, and me and her are part of some really fun ET hybrid groups. And she's been kind enough to assist us today to make sure that we just have multiple folks all working as a team. Luis, how are you? How's it going?
Hi, Tyler. Yes, it's great. Thanks. Glad to be here within the family. Yeah, we're going to have some fun.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really good. And also, when you shared earlier about the place you're in and its age, I feel like there's going to be so many magical energies that come through into the channeling, because you're in sort of a place that like has been around for generations. I mean, that's so exciting.
Well, I'm also, I've just got woodland all the way around. So yeah, it's a great place to connect with the trees and elementals, and yeah, it's great.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for assisting us today. And thank you to all of the nature spirits that are hanging out with us through your anchoring.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, everybody, I want to thank you for being here. In today's transmission, RYOK is going to talk about our upcoming April event. Yahaira, I don't think we've actually picked a date yet, have we?
We haven't. Yeah, we haven't picked a date yet.
You know, I feel like normally this is the kind of thing we should do behind the scenes, but since we're here and we want to promote it, I have pretty much kept a single day at the end of the month open for this event. Let me know if it flows with you. I have been wanting to do it on the 21st, Wednesday the 21st. Does that flow for you, Yahaira?
It does. Yes, I think it's a good day.
Okay.
Just let me check real quick with my daughter since she's with some graduation thing.
Okay, sure. Yeah, take your time.
Okay, we're good. Yeah.
We're good. Oh, that was so quick. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, she's right here with me.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Well, that'll be 4. So 4:30 is the better time for you? 4:30?
Yes. 4:30 is good. Yeah.
4:30. So everybody who's tuning in today, RYOK is going to be talking about the live event that we're doing on April the 21st, which is a Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So stay tuned for that. And of course, as we do with all of these event announcements, we're also going to have a very large Q&A portion. So what you do to ask your question is just on the YouTube page, type in the chat whatever questions you want to answer. We can't get to every single question, so if your question doesn't get picked, we all apologize. Some questions are also better for private sessions and they require some context. So sometimes if it's just written out in the chat, it might not be the most appropriate question for a public forum for a few reasons. So if you don't get called on, please don't take offense. We're doing everything we can to make sure we can do as much as we can for everyone who's attending. And Yahaira, are you able to see the YouTube chat? Is it online?
Yes, it's working. People are already, hopping in, saying hello and with their questions. Hello, everybody. We're excited that you're here and everything's flowing.
Yeah, so excited you're all here. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So what I'll do is I'm going to make Luis, I'm just going to start doing the host stuff. So Luis will be the co-host, and then Yahaira, I will make you the host. Okay, great. So everybody, I am going to dive into the channeling state. We're going to go until 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. So you'll have plenty of time to get into your questions and everything you're excited about. So without further ado, friends, I'll dive in. I'll see you all at the end, and have a blast. Greetings and good day to all of you this day of your time. It is our species' highest joy, passion, and ecstasy to be able to speak to you all through this channel in our upcoming April transmission titled Into the Eye. We shall explore with all of you a unique exercise, a unique meditation that can assist all of you in connecting more powerfully to the idea of your inner self in a way that allows for you to see your inner self in all challenges that you face. So you can see past the idea of the negative belief systems that cloud your vision in a way that enables you to see your innermost self reflected back to you in all that you experience. This particular exercise will assist you all in really understanding the core energy behind negative belief systems. So you can penetrate into that core, exposing the idea of the core lessons that the negative belief is reflecting back to you. So you can ultimately let the negative energy go and step into the idea of more of who and what you are. This particular exercise that will enable you to penetrate to that core level also incorporates a particular skill that relates to what you would consider to be the early phases of the shape-shifting ability. So this meditation will share with you all different techniques that assist you in energy shape-shifting in a way that enables you to dive in to that core level of the self so you can more easily, more lucidly transform into more and more and more of who you prefer to be. The other aspect that this particular meditation and exercise will assist you all with is what you would consider to be channeling. This exercise, in addition to assisting you in penetrating to the core, will also incorporate different techniques that are training techniques for vocal channeling. Now, when we explore the techniques in this exercise, these techniques will relate mainly to what you consider to be different forms of automatic writing. However, you can very easily, from the automatic writing state, expand that ability into the vocal channeling state. So this transmission into the eye will share with you many different skills, all designed to assist you in exploring and embodying more of who and what you are. And we are very excited to share these different skills with you, for we understand that right now you are all going through a bit of an acceleration in your transformational processes. And we observe that these particular skills will be of great service to many of you as you face new challenges and as you learn to expand yourself in more exciting ways. We thank you for your attention in this announcement of the upcoming transmission, and we now make ourselves available to all of you for your different questions. Please proceed in whatever way, shape, or form represents your highest joy.
Hello, RYOK. How are you?
Greetings, good day. We are ecstatic and delighted to be able to play with you and your human family in this way.
So, do we have a name for the transmission yet?
Into the eye.
Into the eye. Awesome. I can already feel it.
Yes. You're feeling your future self, reflecting information and energy back to you. Understand, many of the techniques, many of the insights from that transmission may actually emerge in your consciousness a little bit early. Follow that thread, for it is connected to that upcoming parallel reality.
Wow, that's so awesome. Because that's how I work with the flyers and how I do it. I feel into it and I get it, like the colors, the texture. So yeah. Okay, so let's start the questions. So the first one we have here is, can you tell us more about the Hindu goddess Lalita and how can we work with her?
This particular goddess is designed to connect you to elements within your own consciousness that relate to nature, that relate to music. So there are many different ways of connecting with what you would consider to be deities. Most deities that exist across your different cultures have different chants, have different mantras that are associated with their energy. So you can always pay attention to these types of things. That can be a permission slip to open up that connection a little bit more. Most deities will also have the idea of different types of plant essences that are connected to them, that resonate with their energy. So you can also incorporate different types of plant essences. Many deities will also have the idea of different types of planetary or zodiac energies connected to them. So that's another contextual facet of information that can assist you in allowing that connection to be a little bit more conscious. In relationship to communing with deities, there is a technique that can be used to assist you in communing with any form of consciousness that you are excited to commune with. The idea is to, with your imagination, see the being in your mind's eye that you wish to communicate with. It could be a deity, it could be an animal, it could be an extraterrestrial. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you're excited to connect with will do. See that being, that image in your mind's eye. And as you breathe, as you inhale, imagine you are charging that image. You are charging the life of the being that you're imagining. And feel your heartbeat, your energy, your love pouring into this image that you are crafting in your mind's eye. And begin to feel that the being becomes more and more and more solid. Begin to feel more and more and more of their energy. And when it feels like they're solid, when they feel like they could be physically touched by you, inhale and breathe them in. Breathe their essence into your body. Charge your throat center with it. Charge your third eye with it. Charge your hands with that energy. Wherever you wish to bring it there. And then use whatever centers you have charged in whatever actions to you represent communing with the being. You can begin to automatically write, you can begin to sing, you can begin to paint, you can begin to draw, you can begin to dance. There are so many options available to you. But once you have gotten in the energy state that represents the being, express that energy state. So this particular technique can be used with the deity you have mentioned, but this technique can also be expanded in a way that allows for it to be useful for any type of entity you wish to communicate with.
Next question. Why is there still so much cover-up and secrecy about ET spacecraft despite more people being open and aware of them?
Well, the idea is that these types of beliefs that engender secrecy and stealth that you observe in your governments are reflecting the idea of those levels of your own consciousness that you keep secret from yourself, that you, in a sense, hide from yourself. So as more and more and more of you expose those hidden levels of your consciousness to the light of your heart, those types of energies that relate to stealth and secrecy will begin to evaporate out of your collective consciousness. And in those moments where those things leave your collective consciousness, you will then experience your world governments also revealing things that were previously kept secret. For the only reason things are kept secret in a negative way is because individuals fear that if the secret were to be revealed, something fundamentally negative would happen. And that's the same motivational energy that's used when individuals hide aspects of their own consciousness. So when you let go of that fear, when you dive into those hidden aspects and shine the light of your heart upon them, those energies that relate to negative secrecy will then be released from the collective consciousness. So different types of information that your governments have will then be shared with your world, because you will all believe that it's finally time and that it is safe to reveal this type of information. That's the only reason negative secrecy exists on a collective level. So you all have the ability to transform that. Just get in touch with yourself, really be honest with yourself, dive into those energies and have fun with it, because no matter how dark it is, no matter how scary it seems, at the core, it's just more of your own energy. And this idea is something we will be exploring much more in-depthly in our upcoming transmission.
What were the H-shaped blocks at Pumapunku used for?
Please repeat this question a little bit more slowly. These are concepts that the channel's lexicon has not been familiarized with, so we need to scan into the energy as you pronounce this.
What were the H-shaped blocks at Pumapunku used for?
These types of blocks, these types of stone arrangements have to do with the idea of grounding in certain types of stellar frequencies. So these types of blocks are in many ways used to align certain earth frequencies with the idea of certain cosmic frequencies. So the blocks, the stones, can then anchor in the energies. So those whom are in the space can then be more greatly familiarized with those frequencies. So the land, the area itself, can then be charged with those frequencies. So as individuals then go about their lives after having been in that space, they will more powerfully then carry with them those unique energies that the sacred site has been charged with.
Next question. Could you speak of Akhenaten, and was I a scribe for him in a soul incarnation?
Again, these are different terms the channel's not very familiar with. So with these types of, let's just say, more exotic words, if you can pronounce them with greater delicacy, a little bit more slowly, that will be of service here.
Yes. Could you speak of Akhenaten? Akhenaten, this Egypt, I think it was God or something like that.
Yes.
And asking if he was a scribe for him in a soul incarnation.
If he was what for him?
Scribe for him in a soul incarnation.
Thank you. This particular being, in many ways, has connections to physical beings, different types of rulers, different types of royal families, have, in a sense, channeled the archetypal energy that this name is pointing to. The name itself and the archetypal energy that it represents is associated with different types of deities related to the concept of beings within a pantheon. So it's not as if this archetype has expressed itself through one person only. Many individuals, a part of different bloodlines, have access to this being's energy. And this type of phenomenon of different individuals in what you would consider to be the royal levels of a society have channeled many deities. And in that sense, royal families have worked hand in hand with different types of deities to allow for their empires, their kingdoms to prosper with what you might consider to be blessings and energies from that particular deity. Now, in relationship to the idea of past lives, you are not the same person as the person you observe when you observe a past life. Remember, a being in a past life has a different soul than you do. They are their own person with their own karma on their own journey. They are linked to you via the oversoul. So understand that you do have counterpart connections in that particular culture, working with one of the individuals whom channeled this archetypal energy. In relationship to the idea of the role of being a scribe, that is only one of the roles. This counterpart's skill set was very expansive. However, expressing as a scribe, as a translator, so to say, was a part of their skill set. So there's more here for you to dive into. So continue to explore with this.
Can you give a permission slip for singers to allow their soul's essence to come through their singing more?
Well, the idea is that whenever you go into a state of self-expression, such as singing or painting, drawing, dancing, so on and so forth, you are channeling, you are entering into the channeling state when you express yourself in those types of ways that represent pure creative expression. Now, if you are holding on to different types of belief systems that say it's not safe for me to express myself, I don't know how to express myself, if I express myself, something negative might happen, then when you enter into the channeling state, only so much of your creative passion will flow through. So in addition to exploring those channeling states, allow for yourself to acknowledge and validate whatever types of energies might emerge within you that are uncomfortable. For those energies of discomfort represent the different types of negative belief systems that you may be utilizing that limit the creative flow. And allow for yourself to get in touch with those energies, beam your love into those energies, your joy, your passion, penetrate into the core. Again, in the upcoming transmission, we shall dive into this more thoroughly. And what you'll find is through beaming your love into those energies, you will reach the core and they will begin to shift. They will begin to transform. And as you allow for yourself in every area of your life to fully express and channel who you are, then when you go to sing, those doors will already be opened. So you will be expressing yourself as boldly and as powerfully as you are able to. For when you carry no resistance, there's no obstruction to the energy flow. So the key here is letting go of resistance, relaxation, and being in the state of consciousness that really represents who and what you are. When you're doing those things and you are singing the types of material that you're most excited by, in the way that most excites you, in the places that most excite you, with the people that most powerfully reflect back to you your passion, you will be expressing yourself fully in a way that represents who and what you are, your soul essence.
Science estimates that it takes about 66 days to form a new habit. Are there really quick and efficient ways to form a new habit using tools, maybe like questions of herbs?
There are many different ways to form new habits, and that particular time frame is just one that represents a general average for members of your society when they choose to create some type of shift. These things can be crystallized much more quickly The idea being, of course, to allow for yourself to let go of the energies that represent the old reality, the old pattern of behavior. Get in touch with those things. Let them go. And what will happen is you will rapidly shift from the old behavior to the new one. And that old behavior won't appear to be some type of siren calling you back. You will have released your attachments to it. So the new behavior will simply become automatic, because that's simply what you do in the new reality as the new self. You have a different past when you fully shift your energy and enter into that new reality with that new version of yourself. And the individual in that new reality has a past that represents having always done that new behavior. But if you hold on to the attachments of the old behavior, you still link yourself to the old self. And it's almost as if there is a pendulum type of effect. You go back and forth between the new behavior and the old behavior. So if you release the attachments, the energies that say the old behavior is what I need to do, then you can easily experience the new one with greater ease and with greater consistency. And states of effortlessness will become more obvious and more consistent in relationship to applying the new behavior.
What is Shambhala? What is the history and how can we use it, please? Shambhala.
There are a few different meanings related to this particular word. It represents the idea of a state of consciousness that individuals of your planet are able to reach within themselves. It also relates to the idea of what you would consider to be an ascended society connected to Earth that has many extra-dimensional and extraterrestrial associations. This extra-dimensional level of Earth, that is its own society in a sense, has a very strong connection to what you consider to be your planet's ascended masters. And this extra-dimensional society acts as a multidimensional middle ground between your physical reality and very high frequency realities. So different types of energies, different types of frequencies from all over the multiverse and all throughout the levels of creation can then converge within this civilization, and different beings then take those energies, those colors, those frequencies, and they then disperse them throughout your planet, throughout your world. So when individuals go in to altered states and access the Shambhala level of consciousness, which represents in general an enlightened society, they then tune in to this extra dimensional civilization that is connected with your world, and they then carry those energies so your species as a whole can more easily shift to versions of Earth where the enlightened society, as you call it, is the status quo. The energy of the
Tyler, I'm sorry, excuse me. Can you hear me, Tyler? You need to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Are you able to hear us now?
Yes.
All right. In relationship to experiencing more of the Shambhala energies, the idea is to allow for yourself to access the frequency you consider to be the rainbow frequency. This can be explored through breathing color into each of what you call the chakras. So the 7 major colors are illuminating your body. You can then begin to perceive your auric field emanates a multi-layered rainbow glow, beginning with red, then orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And as you experience more of the rainbow frequencies within your consciousness, you will become more of a signature frequency match for the multi-dimensional energies related to the ascended society you call Shambhala.
Okay, next question. What about the island called the Eye in Argentina? Is it a haunted place or ET submarine base?
There are many different types of extraterrestrial energies that are anchored into this particular location. However, the area represents much more than extraterrestrial energies. There are different types of ancestral forms of consciousness related to your species that are also anchored into this area. And in many ways, different forms of consciousness related to different societies of the past can be accessed through being in this location. There are strong connections to Atlantis. This area at a certain point in time was an Atlantean colony. So there are unique blends of energy there related to Atlantean beings, as well as related to groups of people that existed there prior to the Atlantean arrival.
Next question. How to communicate with the dreaming self during waking?
Allow for your attention throughout the day to be placed within your body. In other words, you can, with your imagination, scan into the inside of your body, feeling past the skin into the interior of your physical body. The inside of your body represents your subconscious in the sense that you know it's there. It's the background for your reality experience, yet you can't really see it. You can only feel it. Therefore, the inside of your body reflects back to you energies very similar to that of your subconscious mind. When you are dreaming, you raise your frequency in a way that allows for you to pass through different levels. The first level you pass through as you enter into the dream world is the subconscious level. Many of you think the subconscious is beneath you. However, in terms of frequency, you raise your frequency when you dream and you pass through the level that you call the subconscious, which actually vibrates at a higher frequency than the conscious waking level. So when you feel the inside of your body throughout the day, when you breathe into it, you begin to access that higher level that you pass through when you dream. And should you continue to grow that awareness in yourself throughout the day, that vibration increase will continue. And eventually you will access higher levels of your own consciousness through exploring the interior of your body. And this will translate as you accessing higher and higher and higher levels of the dream world, but while you are awake.
Could you go into detail on how the evergreen trees have figured out how to stay green year round? Please speak about how their terpenes can be utilized to support our development and advancement.
Well, as you know, the different compounds related to the pines have the ability to improve the cellular functioning of your physical bodies. The terpenes can be utilized to assist here, but those are not the only chemicals. Those are not the only compounds. The thing to pay attention to here with these particular types of trees that do not lose their leaves, so to say, or their needles, rather, is through understanding what you would consider to be genetic integrity. These particular plants have a special type of energy that flows through them. This energy translates as what you consider to be the aspects of your genetics that are associated with longevity. So different compounds related to these trees can assist your bodies in understanding more of that longevity energy, that longevity frequency, consuming the idea of the different growths, the needles, so to say, the pine needles in different ways can also assist you here. There are different ways of preparing them into tea. So that's one area to begin to investigate. And of course, be responsible with the idea of your exploration into consuming plants. Pay attention to what is appropriate for your body. However, many cultures have consumed the needles of the pine to explore what you consider to be the longer lifespans. So there is a great deal here to pay attention to. The terpenes are one level, the minerals are another level, the vitamins are another. However, when those types of things are derived specifically from the pines, then that energy related to longevity more powerfully carries over. So your own genetics can begin to express themselves in a way that relate to these tree beings.
What are the sacral and solar plexus chakra of the earth?
What you consider to be the South American countries have a strong connection to the sacral chakra. Now understand, it's not as if there is only one location on your earth that represents sacral chakra energy. One of the most well-known locations and one of the most active locations at this time represents what you consider to be the country of Bolivia and the lake that is known as Lake Titicaca. This particular location has a very strong connection to what you would consider to be sacral energies. In many ways, what you consider to be your United States has a very strong connection with what you would consider to be the solar plexus. It's not the only country or land mass that is associated with this particular energy, but the United States in many ways has a very, very strong relationship to the solar plexus. And many of you can experience this through simply observing many of the cultural trends that come from the United States. There is a very large emphasis on the idea of the self, self-identity, and the idea of really expressing one's power to be able to create whatever it is they believe they need in their lives. And in many ways, that concept is very much associated with your planet's understanding of individuals who live within the United States. So the United States has a very strong connection to solar plexus energy. One moment. The country you know as Japan also has a connection to solar plexus energy as well. There are different centers in these areas that vibrate at that particular frequency that's a match for the solar plexus center within your own body.
Can you elaborate on Gautama Buddha enlightenment process?
This particular process relates to the idea of going within, specifically in the way that connects to what we had shared earlier about sensing the inside of your body. For when you breathe into the inside of your body, when you feel the inside of your body more than you are aware of that which is external, you begin to experience reality from the perspective of what you consider to be your inner self. And that inner landscape that is anatomically anchored through the inside of your body then becomes a portal for your consciousness to rise its frequency, to raise its frequency, so you can begin to experience more of what you consider to be the higher realms. And as individuals then let go and let go and let go of whatever comes up, they then begin to release what you might consider to be weight. So their consciousness continues to rise, continues to rise, continues to rise. This particular technique of going within and letting go and raising the frequency oftentimes is accompanied by tree assistance, by tree beings. So through doing this type of exercise of going within and letting go and breathing into yourself with your back against a tree, the tree consciousness, which naturally rises upwardly, then guides your inner self in that upward direction. This translates internally as the Kundalini energy, having no resistance. So it gradually moves up the body, up the spine in a way that then illuminates the higher centers. And that's our perspective on this particular enlightenment process, as you call it. Enlightenment being nothing more than simply seeing and recognizing that you are all beings. You are all that is, experiencing itself as a locality. That's one way of inducing that type of perspective. There's many different ways. That is a major one, though, for many of you.
Could you please describe the reality experience of fifth, sixth, and seventh densities? What are the differences between them?
The idea is that once you pass the fifth dimensional threshold, you then go in to fifth density. Fifth density is a non-physical reality experience where your consciousness is no longer experienced as that of a singular being. You begin to not only experience yourself as all others in the reality, you begin to experience yourself as the reality. And there is a very strong telepathic connection that exists between all of the different forms of consciousness that occupy this fifth density framework. In order to really be anchored into a fifth density framework, all beings must be operating in a way that relates to positive synchronicity. And that's what allows for the group consciousness to be maintained. So even though there are individual beings making up the group consciousness, they don't see themselves really as individuals. They see themselves, in a sense, as different neurons of the same brain. And that relates to the idea of a fifth density perspective. As you move higher in frequency to that of sixth density, it is simply an octave higher than the fifth density experience. And as such, the nature of the fifth density experience is then more expanded in sixth density, in the sense that that collective consciousness awareness of being everyone in the reality and the reality itself is then expanded in a way that allows for you to perceive other realities, perceiving yourself in other realities, and perceiving yourself as all other beings in the other realities. So it's almost as if you have the perspective of being multiple realities, multiple worlds at once when you are sixth density. And sixth density has many connections to what you consider to be soul frequencies. That's the way souls perceive themselves. So when your soul looks into your physical reality through you, it recognizes that it is all beings on that highest level in your physical reality. That state of oneness, that perception of oneness, is the point of view of both the higher self, which is more fifth density, and the soul, which is sixth density. So the soul is able to look into the physical reality, understanding that everything is its projection, and it's also aware of its own reality. It is also completely aware of the soul pod or the soul family it's a part of, and it recognizes that all beings within that pod, within that family unit, are different expressions of itself. And that is a sixth density point of view. And if you follow this pattern, Seventh density is the same concept, but expanded even more. And this relates to what you consider to be the oversoul. So the oversoul, which has many connections to what you call seventh density, is able to experience the idea of multiple souls having multiple incarnations, seeing all of those realities and all of the beings involved as different expressions of itself. When you continue to climb that ladder of dimensions and densities, the common thread present in each dimension and in each density is simply the expansion of awareness in a way that allows for consciousness to become more inclusive in its perception. And that is why at the highest level, what you consider to be the level of all that is, all things are one thing. Things become less differentiated the higher up you go in terms of frequency. The lower you are in frequency, the more differentiation there is. Fourth density, which you are all moving into, represents the beginning process of recognizing that you are all beings in the reality and that you are the reality itself. It's the beginning of the exploration of that direction. When you're fifth density, that exploration has crystallized in a way that allows for the experience to be completely obvious to all involved.
Could you speak about Yeshua's offspring?
There is a particular bloodline that is connected to the different individuals whom collectively are referred to as Yeshua. For Yeshua is not one person. Yeshua is a symbol representing a few different people. And these individuals have their own offspring. So there are 3 different bloodlines, you could say, that relate to what you consider to be the physical expressions of Christ consciousness. Now, that doesn't mean that Christ consciousness is limited to individuals that are a part of these special bloodlines by any means. These are simply the individuals whom first really anchored that energy for your species after that point of view was forgotten, after the fall of Atlantis. So, those energies being anchored in through these particular bloodlines create an energetic tone that is constantly vibrating throughout the collective consciousness of your world, allowing for all of you to have access to those energies. We describe the Christ consciousness energy dynamic as this: your heart center connecting to your crown, connecting straight up into what you consider to be the heart of all that is. And when you experience yourself in that way, from that heart connection to source, then you are able to achieve the miracles that Yeshua achieved and more, as he said in your ancient texts. For it's that heart connection to source that allows for all things to be possible. So, some of these offspring, some of the individuals in the bloodline are aware of that connection and actively explore that connection. Not all of them do. Some of them have explored what you would consider to be less esoteric, less mystical paths. However, many individuals who are connected to that bloodline have in many ways dedicated their lives to really grounding in and exploring that Christ consciousness frequency. We thank you for your question.
Can you please elaborate on the process of crystallization into manifestation? Is the crystallization coming into place related to the energy form of waves getting into particular form?
Yes. Understand when you, with your consciousness, hone in on a particular signature frequency that represents something you would like to manifest, your energy then geometrically begins to configure itself in a way that represents the signature frequency of that desired reality. And as you live in that state more, that crystallized frequency becomes denser and denser and denser. When you physically act out the signature frequency of that reality, it becomes even more densified. And eventually, it becomes so vibrationally solid that the physical reality reflects it back to you. So it's simply a matter of acting as if, with zero insistence, zero expectation that the image you're holding in your mind must ever occur. Simply living from that place because it's exciting to you, because it represents more of whom you are. And the more you live in it, the denser the crystallized form becomes until it's a complete signature frequency match for your physical reality, and then it manifests in whatever way it needs to. When you have insistence, though, it's almost as if you put a barrier between the crystallizing energy and the physical frequencies. So when you have no expectation, there's no barrier, so it can continue to resonate more closely with the frequency of your physical reality.
On Huculo TV, you can request to have your DNA infused with alien DNA. Is this safe? Would you recommend this for me? They mention on the website that if you decide to do so, you won't be able to reverse it.
Well, the idea is your genetics are changing all the time. Your scientists have already dedicated much energy into the field that you call epigenetics, which is all about how external stimuli affects how your DNA expresses itself. So even if you have extraterrestrial augmentations made to your genome, it's you that gets to turn that on or off based off of your energy state. If you are in a very high energy state, those extraterrestrial frequencies then become active because you're resonating with them. If you're in a more of a lower vibrational energy state, those extraterrestrial modifications become less active. For understand, you already, as a species, have extraterrestrial genetics built into you. And this relates to the original modification that was done to your species. However, because your species existed in a lower frequency state, many of those extraterrestrial genetic factors were not activated. But because you're all remembering more of who you are, because you're activating more of your energy, you're turning those factors on. You're turning on those different instructions within the genetics that relate to many different forms of extraterrestrial consciousness. So you are always altering how your genetics express through your energy, through your frequency. So you can always request that different extraterrestrial groups work on your DNA, and understand that many of them will. Many of them are excited to work with you on a DNA level because to us and to many species, it's very intimate. We get to experience the energies of your soul. We get to experience what you consider to be the energies of your counterparts, what you call past or future lives. And we're also, through the DNA, able to anchor into your physical reality more. So there are many groups that are very excited about this. So if you simply make these requests, it's likely these types of shifts will occur for you. There's many beings that desire it. Now, you can always deactivate that because the idea is you are shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality billions of times per second. Each self that you shift to in each of the different realities is a completely different self. So if you really alter your state of being significantly, you can shift to a version of yourself that no longer has those genetic activations present. You're the one that gets to decide that. And that's what your scientists are discovering. Things are always changing. Things are always shifting. For something to be locked into place in a way that is unchanging is to essentially be experiencing what you consider to be the energy of death. For when things stagnate, what you consider to be the life force energy no longer flows. So understand that this is also the case with your genetics. If your genetics remain rigid and locked, the life force energy could not flow through. You would have many issues physically, energetically. So understand no genetic modification can truly lock you into place in a way that's unchanging, because you're the one that instructs the genetics how to be. So in relationship to, is requesting genetic activations or alterations from different species safe, understand you can never be in true danger in the way that you think, because you are all things. The entire reality experience and every being in it is an experience that you are creating. It doesn't mean these other beings in the reality are not real. It simply means you're creating your own version of these things. So everything you experience is filtered through your own energy. It's all you. Therefore, there's no one or no thing outside of you that can hurt you, because you can't ever really experience something outside of you. You can create the experience of danger. You can create the experience of harm. But understand, you don't necessarily have to. So when you place positive definitions upon the activity of genetic alteration and upon the energy of extraterrestrial beings, then you can only experience positive effects. And based off how many of you understand that, to answer your question, those things would then be safe. For when you experience something positively, you are experiencing in a way that represents you. We thank you for your question.
Yes, it's 5:29 your time.
We thank you so much for the time check. At this time, we shall bring the transmission to a close. We thank all of you for your attention in this exciting co-creation, and we are all very ecstatic, very excited about the upcoming transmission into the I. Our unconditional love to each of you, and we thank you for this exciting encounter.
Yay, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. Great job, Yahira and Louise. Thank you both for assisting me in that. That was exciting. I hope it was exciting for both of you.
Oh, yes, it was. That last question was, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Well, everybody who joined in on YouTube, I thank you so much for being here with us. We're all very excited for this upcoming live event, which will be April 21st, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, titled Into the Eye. So we are really looking forward to it, and I think you'll all get a lot out of it. So hope to see you there. And yeah, stay tuned. There will be more videos uploaded onto this YouTube channel before the end of the month. And I also am on Patreon if anybody wants to explore more channeled content as well as energy meditation exercises. Please join my Patreon, which is just my name, Tyler Ellison, and you can get exclusive content there. Some of this represents exclusive transmissions from RYOK. Some of it is advanced energy exercises taught by me, as well as the recordings of past RYOK lives. Those are also eventually uploaded there. So you can view all of that from the Patreon. And thank you guys. Louise and Yahira, thank you both again.
Yes, and thank you everybody for always being here. Like, you know, it's beautiful to see new faces and old faces. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. It was great, as always.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming in and helping us out too. It means so much to me, and your generosity is very appreciated.
No problem at all.
Awesome. Great.
All right, everybody.
Take care. Unconditional love and appreciation to each of you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.